Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We're back for the knee-jerk stream, as always, on a Sunday evening. A lot to discuss in Game Week 8 and how it's gone. It's been a bit of a mad game week. Obviously, both of us on a wild card. And yeah, a lot to discuss in terms of the games where we've just watched, obviously, Man City and Arsenal in that big clash. So we're going to speak about, I'm sure we'll get into that, but we're also going to break down how Game Week 8 has gone. How are you doing, Jordan, though? Have you been enjoying the weekend, enjoy the football?
Yeah, it's been a bit up and down with the football in terms of the weekend, but the weekend's been good nonetheless. I think there's a few interesting, a lot of controversy, I think, in these matches, especially today, of results and whatnot. But yeah, it's been going to be interesting talk and breakdown of how, obviously, Game Week 8 has finished.
Yeah, I want to get into it because, obviously, for those that don't know, I am on a wild card on Game Week 8, and it's gone very good for me, to be honest. I am glad now I have played the wild card, maybe a bit late. I wish I played it a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, a few comments coming in. We've got Michael in the chat, says, good evening, Jordan and Huss. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Michael.
And we also got Remzinho. What does knee-jerk even mean? I mean, knee-jerk, the stream is just, we've just had the game, so knee-jerk as in we're going to react to what we've just seen and make early knee-jerk reactions, early transfers, talk about how we're feeling just to post the results. So, yeah, we're going to get into it. So Game Week 8 for me has gone very, very well. I'll be honest with you. Very, very happy to see some of the big decisions I made pay off. So let's start off with in goal. I went with Areola on the wild card. As you guys know, I was looking at Turner, who did get a clean sheet. So that's a bit unfortunate that I didn't end up going with Turner. But Areola did concede, I believe, 2 goals in the end against Newcastle in the draw in a 2-2. I didn't watch the game. So, yeah, surprised to see, in a 2-2 draw. We didn't expect that sort of game. Maybe we thought Newcastle would win. But again, 1 pointer for Areola. In the defense, Dan Burn, I didn't expect a clean sheet, to be honest. I thought West Ham would score. So I wasn't surprised when I saw West Ham ended up scoring. I think they scored first with Souček.
Yeah.
So Dan Burn concedes 2, so he gets the 1 point. Obviously, the -1 for the conceded goals. Matty Cash, again, another player that was popular on a wild card pick. He did draw to Wolves in that 1-1 draw. Played 81 minutes as well. Comes away with a blank. Now, Pedro Porro, I want to speak about a bit more in depth. Now, for those that didn't watch the game, Spurs did win 1-0 against Luton in that early kickoff, on Saturday. And Spurs could have been 3 or 4 up within the first half. They should have been, they missed a lot of chances. Richarlison, 2 gilt-edge opportunities in that first 5 minutes. Really should have scored. And Pedro Porro also, as an owner, very frustrating. I think Son puts Pedro Porro through pretty much one-on-one with the keeper, and Porro slides it wide. If that went in, obviously it would have been a lovely, lovely haul for us Pedro Porro owners. Very disappointed that he couldn't get the goal, but I am happy with the clean sheet. And it feels weird having a clean sheet from one of my defenders, because it feels like weeks since I've got any points. And we're going to come on to the main talking point of my team, which is Mo Salah. And for me, Mo Salah, again, one of the reasons why I wildcarded was to get Mo Salah in, because I felt like he's one that I've wanted for a couple of weeks now, especially with the way Liverpool have started the season. He's someone that was a priority for me. And again, Mo Salah definitely paid off. I went captain, as you guys know. It was out of Son and Salah. I had the captain's armband on Son in the deadline stream, pretty much for the whole deadline stream. But in the final 10 minutes, I was thinking about it more with the way Liverpool play, the way Brighton have played in the Europa League. And I thought, let me take it on Salah, be different. We've got to chase a bit. And obviously it paid off big time. Salah getting the 2 goals in that game and also the 3 bonus points. So he comes away with a 15-pointer. And obviously due to captaincy, he does get the 30 points. So again, this is probably the best thing that's happened to me this season so far. The only big call I've made that's actually gone for me. So yeah, very happy with the Captain Salah shout there. And if you guys Captain Salah as well, let us know in the chat. But it just feels so good for my captain to kind of get me a big return, because it's not been a good season start so far for me.
Yeah, he was really the only premium player to actually really get a good return this game. So it paid off massively, that captain pick going with Salah, because not a lot of people did. I think more people went for obviously Son captain against that Luton away fixture.
Yeah, Son was the popular pick. I think most of us, well, most managers actually did captain Son this week, which I think was a good move. On another day, Son could have easily scored, maybe a couple as well. But I just had a feeling with Salah. Obviously, I expected Liverpool to win the game, but Salah did also get a penalty, as we know. One of the main reasons why I've bought Salah in as well. We know he's on penalties, and he's such a big thing in FPL because he can literally, you don't even have to play great. You get a penalty, and then double-digit haul. And when Salah does score, he normally gets the bonus as well. But moving on, next up, I do have Neto in the team. Now, Neto was a cheap enabler that I bought in for 5.7 million, and he got me an attack and return straight away. So I'm very, very happy with Neto to get me an assist in that game. He does come away with a 1 assist for that 5-pointer. So again, very nice to see that one pay off straight off the bat. Diaby, on the other hand, blanked. He also only played 61 minutes. Now, I didn't watch the game, the Aston Villa game, so I'm not sure how, was it an injury or was it just a tactical thing? Because obviously Diaby was a doubt before the game and he came off 61 minutes. So maybe he's still just being eased in to the match. So it comes away with a blank, but I'm not too frustrated. We know Aston Villa have got some nice fixtures coming up with West Ham and Luton next.
Yeah, that Wolves game was really tough. It was very tough Aston Villa to break down their defence. As I mentioned before, deadline stream, it's very hard to obviously get through Wolves' defence, as they have proven this season to be very hard to grind down. And for Aston Villa to get a draw out of that game is quite good, I think, for them.
Yeah, I think I did actually mention that when we come on to Watkins. I knew Watkins was going to blank pretty much. I did say like Aston Villa, or Watkins, I should say, doesn't really have a great record against Wolves. So, and that did kind of transpire. Moving along to the Spurs double up, I did have Maddison and Son. Now, these two were massively captained, massively transferred in because they had the Luton fixture. Obviously, we saw what happened. Basuma got that red card, kind of made it a bit tough on Spurs. It looked like they could easily have even drawn that game at points. Luton missed a couple of gilt opportunities where Luton will be kicking themselves that maybe they should have put one of those chances away. However, Maddison does a lovely bit of skill on the byline. He cuts it back to Van der Ven, and Van der Ven with a nice finish with his left foot, and Spurs come away with a 1-0 win. So Maddison picks up that 1 assist, which is again nice, a return from him on the wild card. And then Son, unfortunately, did blank in that 1-0 win. He also came off after 75 minutes. We know Son had a bit of an issue, I know, with injuries and stuff. So maybe he's not 100% fully to his fitness. I mean, I don't know if that plays a part when he's coming off early. But he does come away with a blank. And obviously, a lot of managers did captain Son this week as well. So it is a blank for Son.
Horrible that is, seeing Son blank and seeing Salah get a nice 15-pointer and 30-pointer shoot captain Salah as well. It's a very different rank change.
Obviously, I was watching. Sorry, you go.
I think also because Spurs were down to 10 men, I think there needs to be a change in the team, obviously, to reinforce the defence in that game, just to make sure Spurs got the 3 points from that Luton game.
Yeah, just to add on that, I was watching the Spurs game, and the first 5 minutes, when I saw those 2 chances for Richarlison, I actually thought, you know what, this is going to be a massacre potentially. Like Spurs could, score 3-4 here. Obviously, transpired, the red card and whatnot. How the game went, it was a lot tighter. And then when that blank happened, everything was on Salah today, really, and it paid off. But yeah, unfortunately, Son couldn't get me any returns. Moving up top, Watkins did pick up an assist, I believe, in that game for one of the goals. So he comes away with 5 points. So another return for Watkins, to be fair. I know he didn't score, but he's pretty much returned in every game bar one so far, which was against Liverpool. So yeah, Watkins carries on returning, and he's got a few nice fixtures coming up. So he's going to be an easy hold for me long term. And then finally, the man of discussion, I think, and that is Erling Haaland. Again, obviously, I think it was brave to back against Haaland because we know what Haaland's about, what he can do. And he did come away with a blank actually in that game. And Another interesting thing, I've just seen the stats of that game. Haaland accumulated an XG of 0.00, so he basically had no chances really, or he didn't have a sniff of scoring a goal in that game. I don't even know if he had a proper shot. So Arsenal defended well to keep Haaland quiet. I thought Arsenal in general were pretty rugged. They were pretty solid. They didn't really let Haaland get anything. I don't think Man City really created much for Haaland anyway, to be honest. So all in all, I was glad, obviously, Haaland blanking, because if he did go and go riot, cause havoc, then obviously would have not been as good as a rank gainer for me as a non-captainer. But yeah, Haaland blanks against Arsenal. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a very cagey match. If I'm honest, that match was really a drag. Like, either teams weren't really good in the final third, and their defense was hard to get through. So for pretty much for the whole game until the last few minutes, it was really much of excitement, which came from obviously Arsenal's side.
Yeah, I think these type of games usually go like that. Like, it was a cagey game. You could tell Arsenal were nervy, especially the goalkeeper, first 20, 30 minutes. Then they kind of grew into it. Second half. But yeah, just glad it went that way. And yeah, I thought it'd be a tight game. I mean, I actually predicted City to win with it 2-1, but obviously Arsenal come away with winners in a big result for them in the Premier League. So on the bench as well, just to finish it off, Strakoschka, 3 points. Archer got me 2 points. And Gabriel, who I didn't play because I didn't expect a clean sheet against Man City, he does come away with the 8-pointer, which I believe got some bonus points. I don't know. I think it was 2 or 3 bonus. I think it was 2. So yeah, Gabriel 8-pointer on the bench. And then Taylor, obviously, 0 points. So all in all, that does leave me with 63 points and a pretty big green arrow. I think my rank was 5 million ahead of game week 8, and it's now 3.4 million. So about a 1.5 million increase, which is fairly significant, I think. On a wild card, I'd say success so far, but I'm going to judge it longer term and see how the next couple of weeks are. But all in all, very happy to get a green arrow, which felt like my first one in ages, because last couple of weeks for FPL wise hasn't been good for us. So yeah, very happy with the way the game week went. So that is my team. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know also in the chat how you guys did it as well. I want to know your scores. Probably read a few comments out as well, and then we'll move on to your team, Jordan.
Okay.
We got a comment here from Chief. Pickford finally came through for me. Oh yeah, Pickford come away.
I can't believe that.
With a 9-pointer, after I sold him, which again, a bit frustrating that he gets his first clean sheet after us wildcarders got rid, but as FPL, I guess.
Never saw it coming against Bournemouth though.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Everton could struggle, but Bournemouth, I think, they could go down. Like, I know it's early and stuff, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth do go down now. Just not been impressed as much, and with Everton as well, winning with a 3-0 in the end, it was a bit of a surprise. Neil took a -8 hit, ended up with 57 net. Captain Salah, well done. Up from 5 million to 3 million. Awful game week so far. Yeah, same to me. I went from about 5 million as well to about 3.5. So very similar, Neil. 10 dice says rank of over 5 million, not enjoying FPL this season. Says 10 die. I mean, I was in the same boat. But one thing I will say is all you need is one haul or one captaincy to go your way, and you can literally you can climb 2 million in a rank, just like I have, going Salah captain. So I think the ranks are bunched together very, very closely, like 1 or 2 points. I think I'm only 11 points away from like 2 million. So again, another big jump from about 1.5 million. So the ranks are closely bunched, and also it's a long way to go, guys. There's chips to play. Obviously, I've just played my wild card. There's triple captains, second wild card, and whatnot. So you have a lot of time to catch up. So I wouldn't be panicking.
Yeah, we're only in. Well, we finished game week 8 now, going into game week 9, but there's now a nice break, international break, so it gives you a lot of time to think over and plan your next moves for obviously game week 9 when it does resume after the international break, Tendo.
What to do with Mbeumo and Bruno? Both have good matches coming up. I think we'll come on to that in the second part of the video when we move on to Game Week 9 chat. But we've got Calvin as well in the chat who says, all right, lads, 61 points this week, gone up from 650k to 297k. I mean, 61 points. It's way above. It's way above the average, isn't it, this week? So
yeah, very much above the average. You're catching up with me, Calvin. You're only a few k off of my rank now.
Yeah. So nice to see you in the chat as well, Calvin. Hope you're well. But yeah, let's move on to your team then, and we'll see how you've done. How's your game week been? Obviously, you're on a wild card as well.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really pay off. Well, I didn't really expect it to pay off straight away, my wild card team, but we'll start off with the goalkeeper, and that is Leno. So basically, this clean sheet looked really good up until the point where obviously Robinson, the defender for Fulham, scored the own goal, which obviously led to Fulham wiping the clean sheet and Sheffield United getting that one goal. So it ended up 3-1 Fulham, but it should have really been 3-0 if it wasn't for that own goal that Robertson did score. So I was a bit frustrated at that because that looked like a really good clean sheet to bring Leno in for, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, and he only ended up with 2 points from that game. Moving on to the defence, so we have a bit more fortune. We got Udogie, who got his clean sheet in that 1-0 win over Luton. Very interesting game, especially with 10 men of Spurs, and obviously locking that clean sheet in was really good, obviously for Udogie and for Spurs as well, who are still unbeaten so far this season, so their unbeatable record continues. Moving on to Luca Dean, he did get a blank against Wolves, which that game was pretty tough, I think. Breaking down that Wolves defence was pretty hard, and they were good on the counter attacks as well when Aston Villa were obviously attacking towards them, and you see the counter on the Wolves, and obviously Hwang did score the goal for Wolves in that game, leading to the 1-1 draw. So yeah, it was a very cagey game for both sides. Moving on to the last defender, that is Trippier. Obviously, his clean sheet was wiped in that 2-2 draw against West Ham, but he did manage to clutch an assist from Isak's second goal, which led to him obviously getting bonus points on top of that. I think he got bonus 2, which led him to get a nice, obviously, 6-pointer. So regardless of clean sheets for Trippier, he could still get an attacking threat in returns like he did in that game, which was really nice. And I think that sort of saved a bit of my rank. I think Trippier getting that precious assist. But moving on to the midfield. So we start off with Maddison, who did get the assist from obviously the Van der Ven. Yeah, Van der Ven's goal in that only that one goal that Tottenham did score against Luton. So yeah, and a clean sheet point as well for Maddison from that game. So it was a nice return again. I think Maddison's away form is really good so far this season. I think it's much better than his home form. So I did expect Maddison to get a return out of this game because his away record is pretty good for Spurs so far this season. But his partner, on the other hand, Son, he wasn't so lucky to not get anything from that game. Only a clean sheet point for Son. And he was substituted off early as well. I think pretty much the same time as Maddison was. So both of them were transferred out. Substituted off in the 75 minutes of that game. And yeah, no goal or anything for Son. And I think that was very frustrating for captainers who did captain Son for that game, which looked pretty good, especially for Luton, who have struggled so far to keep a clean sheet, but also stopping obviously the goals coming in on their side. Next midfielder is Bowen, and he comes off of a blank, surprisingly, in that 2-2 draw against Newcastle. So no goals or assist for obviously Jared Bowen in that game. I didn't quite watch the match, and that I did listen to it a bit, and I think West Ham were ahead to start off with in that game, but then Newcastle did claw it back, and obviously West Ham did get a goal at the end, making it a draw. So I think that's a good result, I think, for West Ham, because that was a pretty end-to-end game and a very unexpected result. I think West Ham looked pretty good this season to get a draw. away from Newcastle.
Mm.
Moving on to the next midfielder, who's a bit of a talking point, and that is Mbeumo. And he comes off with a blank as well in that 2-1, that shocking 2-1 loss over Man United. I honestly can't believe how Man United do it. I mean, McTominay to score 2 goals coming off the bench. You couldn't even predict that, even if you tried in that game. I just thought it was unbelievable. It was a very unconvincing win, though, for Man United. I'm not even happy or pleased with it, even though they did get the 3 points. It's still not good enough for Man United. But regardless, they did get the 3 points off of it. Obviously, Brentford, who did lose 2-1 to Man United, and Mbeumo comes off with another blank again in this game. But he does have a nice fixture coming up, which is against Burnley. So hopefully he can obviously redeem his last, I think, 4 blanks now that he's had in a row. And now moving up to the forwards. So we've got Darwin, who does get an assist in that 2-2 draw against Brighton. And that was an assist from one of Salah's goals. And I was quite pleased that Elliott did leave the ball and not touch it, because it would have potentially either got taken off of Darwin, or either he missed, or obviously he scored the goal. So I was quite pleased that obviously with Darwin getting that assist. I wish he could have scored in that game, to be honest, because I was hoping. That's why I brought him in for that game. But unfortunately not. But he does have a nice fixture, which is Everton next. So hopefully he can be on the score sheet for that game. Moving on to the next forward, we've spoken about Watkins. He didn't manage to score in that Wolves game, but he did manage to get an assist from the only Aston Villa goal in that game. So quite pleased with a return from Watkins, even though it's just an assist. And yeah, a nice 5 points for Watkins up front. And finally, move on to my captain pick, which didn't pay off really at all in this game, which was literally a few moments ago, and that was the 1-0 loss to Arsenal. Pretty much, Haaland, he wasn't nowhere to be, if I'm honest. I mean, I think I've only saw him twice in that game, and that was from a ball being played across the goal, and it looked like Haaland dipped his head too late, and the ball went literally above his head, so he kind of misread his header. And yeah, that's pretty much it from Haaland, really. There's not really any other good chances that he really got in that game. I think really Gabriel and Saliba did really well to obviously stop Haaland from really getting anything, any chances in that game. So yeah, I think Arsenal's defence against Haaland was really good, but he only comes off with a blank, and he only gets 4 points because I did captain him, which didn't pay off, obviously. So yeah, move on. He does have another tough fixture, which is Brighton. So he is at home, so maybe he has better luck at home fixture. And now we move on to the bench, and there's actually 2 returns on my bench, which is again quite annoying. But I wasn't really going to play either of these 2 players. Obviously, Areola, he comes off with 1 point from that 2-2 draw against Newcastle. So yeah, and he got a point taken off for goals conceded. Andreas got 5 points for the assist for one of the goals for Fulham. So yeah, that was quite a bit annoying. I kind of expected something from Andreas in that game though, but I don't think I was going to play him over either Bowen or Mbeumo or even Son or Maddison. So yeah, bit unfortunate there's points on the bench there. Now this one's a shock because Branthwaite got 6 points in that clean sheet against Bournemouth in that 3-0 win, which is another nice return. Obviously, especially for Everton, that's their first clean sheet this season, and I wasn't expecting it to come from Bournemouth, who are literally fighting for that, obviously the relegation spot, because I think they are bottom now off the table. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting, obviously, what Everton do against the next fixture, which is Liverpool. And finally, we got Taylor, who obviously didn't play in that game against Chelsea. Oh no, sorry, he did play in that game against Chelsea. He conceded 4 goals though, so there was minus 2 points taken off of him, so he ended up with 0 points. So a massive win for Chelsea, and I think a few frustrating moments in that game as well, because Sterling had a massive haul. Nicholas Jackson scored as well. So yeah, it's just our luck in it. We get rid of our Chelsea players and they start returning, which is just typical FPL.
Yeah, obviously I had Sterling on a before my wild card, I had Sterling. I took him out, and he goes and gets, was it a 15 pointer or what was it, 16 pointer?
Yeah, I think it's very annoying, obviously, for Sterling to get that, considering how terrible Chelsea have been. It's just you don't know what to get from Chelsea game week in, game week out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much how my game week has gone so far. I mean, I'm a red arrow again. I've dropped down to 230k now, so it wasn't a great wild card game week 8 for me. I did get 43 points at the end of it, so yeah, I think a nice break now that we have because of international break. I think for me is to think about obviously what to do and how to move forward into game week 9.
Okay, so that's both our teams. That's how game week 8 has gone. We are going to discuss game week 9, second part of the video, which is obviously now. We're going to get into your comments as well that we've missed. Mr. Blanky says, sell Haaland and bring in Salah for a -4. Is this knee-jerky, Jordan?
I think slightly it is, because Salah coming off of 2 goals, bonus points, and obviously it looks really good to bring Salah in now after that. But I don't think I'll be selling Haaland just because of Man City having a terrible game against Arsenal, because that was a tough game for both sides. It could have gone either way in that one, to be fair, because both sides were contesting each other, and it was either going to be a draw or one. Obviously, one team was going to win over the other, but it's just the way it goes. I think Haaland was pretty isolated in that game, to be honest. I think the Arsenal defense was pretty good and held off, obviously, Haaland in that game.
Yeah, look, it's a tough game. So, would I sell Haaland? For me, I wouldn't personally. I still think Haaland is a good pick, and I wouldn't want to get rid of him. He's got Brighton next as well, and I mean, we'll come on to what we're doing for game week 9. So, well, let's start with how my team looks. So, in goal, I have got Areola lining up against Aston Villa away. I have back 3 of Burn, who's got Palace, Cash, who's got West Ham, Pedro Porro, who has Fulham at home. I've got the midfield 5, Maddison against Fulham, Diaby against West Ham, Neto against Bournemouth, Son against Fulham, Salah against Everton, and then up top, I've got Watkins against West Ham, and then Haaland against Brighton. Now, just looking at my team, first initial thoughts is, if there's no injuries over the international break, I'm going to roll my transfer. I think my team looks fine for game week 9. I don't think I need to make a move necessarily. I'm quite happy with the way the team looks. Obviously, on the wild card, you would expect that. So, yeah, I think it might be a bit of a boring week for me if there's no injuries. I might just go with a roll. I think the team looks fine. I could be tempted to go different again with the captaincy, but with the way Brighton play, with the way they do concede quite a few goals, even against Liverpool, they conceded twice. I don't think I would be backing against Haaland. Probably not. So, just initial thoughts, I am thinking to go with Haaland with the captaincy. I know Son and Maddison have a nice fixture against Fulham, but it is a bit of a London derby, so I'd expect Fulham to keep it quite tight. Salah has a Merseyside derby. Those type of games are always unpredictable as well. I know Everton haven't been playing well, but I think Haaland captain for me next week, or next game week, I should say. But yeah, for me, it's looking like a roll, if I'm being honest. Unless you think there's anything else you'd do with the team, Jordan?
No, not really. I mean, the team looks pretty good. Fixtures look really nice. They're pretty much, apart from 2 players, Areola and Neto, you have all home fixtures. And we usually see home fixtures bring more points in the game week. So, yeah, I think that team is pretty much set for game week 9, especially with no injuries. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there aren't during the international break. I think, yeah, I would probably roll with that team.
Yeah, look, so yeah, you did point out actually there's a lot of home fixtures, which again should mean a bit of a more of a successful week. Obviously, the only 2 players playing away are Areola and Neto, who's got Bournemouth. So I'm pretty happy with the way it's looking and the way it's lined up. So yeah, we'll probably do the same with your team if you want to bring your team up, and we'll see what you're lining up like for game week 9. And any initial reactions, any thoughts, any temptations to do early moves, or anyone that you want to bring in?
I think for my team, I had to look at it earlier on. I think it's pretty set. I think for me as well, I don't necessarily need to do any moves because literally, apart from I got the same. I've only got two players that have away fixtures, and that's Areola in goal and Bowen, who has Aston Villa away. Apart from that, everyone has a nice home fixture, and I don't really see a difficult one really there. That's really going to be tough between each player. So I'm pretty comfortable on going with this team and rolling a transfer. I think it's going to be the first time I'm rolling a transfer this season because I've used a transfer each game week. So I think for this game week now, I think, yeah, I'm pretty set to roll my transfer over as long as there's no injuries in my team.
Yeah, obviously both of us wildcarded, so it would make sense the week after that we have a decent team and that we should be able to roll, all the players come back fine from internationals. We'll take a few comments. Yogesh, 86 with no wildcard. That's very, very impressive. Let us know who you had in your team. I'm assuming you had Sterling, probably went Salah captain as well. Who else got a big haul this week? I know obviously Sterling did.
Yeah, Sterling got a nice haul.
Maybe you had Martinelli. I don't know. He obviously scored, but
or the Spurs defender.
Yeah, Van der Ven. I'm guessing you probably had him as well. But yeah, let us know who got you the points. Adam8 says, do you see any worrying areas in my team? Let's check this. Areola Turner, I think that looks fine.
Yeah, fine.
Burn, Cash, Porro, Anderson, Taylor. I think again, you're probably good. Yeah. I have 3 of those or 4 of those defenders actually in my team. The only one I don't have is Anderson.
Yeah, there's only Anderson and Burn that play each other. But besides that, that's pretty much fine.
Son, Madison, Salah, Diaby, Neto. Is this my team? Because I've got that same midfield as well. And fine. Then up front, Watkins, Haaland, Mubama. I think you're good, mate, to roll. I mean, that's a very similar team to mine. I think it's the same 11 as mine. So I think you're good to roll, mate.
Yeah, I can imagine that's your wildcard team, Adam.
Roman says, got 50 points this week, up to 93k for me this week. Nice one, Roman.
Nice.
Getting into that top 100k. That is the target for me soon as well. Hopefully I can get up there, but we'll see. Maybe try break into the top 500k for me first, and then we'll see, small steps at a time. Damien says, selling Haaland was crazy, but I'm glad that I made FPL fun again, says Damien. I'm assuming you went Salah captain.
Yeah, because selling Haaland for this week definitely paid off. Obviously for him blanking and Salah getting a massive haul if you did have him or captain him. But the only worry is for you guys that have sold Haaland now is you gotta hope he blanks until you pretty much bring him back in your team.
Yeah,
because otherwise he's otherwise gonna cause you to go backwards again and making FPL not fun again. But hopefully he does keep blanking still, Damien.
Yeah, I mean, let's deep dive into Haaland a bit. I mean, we shouldn't really need to. We know how good Haaland is, but obviously today wasn't great for Man City and Haaland. Obviously not scoring in that game. We don't see that too often with Man City, but that is it concerning, Jordan? Obviously, that is now 3 losses in a row for Man City in all comps, I believe. Yeah. So they lost to Newcastle in the Cup.
Yeah.
Then they lost to Wolves. Now they've lost to Arsenal. Obviously, we know Rodri is a massive, massive miss. Like, he's a top player. For me, Rodri is the best defensive midfielder in the world. We know, obviously, he's a big miss. But are you concerned about Man City in general, Haaland, or with the fixtures coming up? Obviously, on paper, they look tough. But because Man City are so good, there's not really a tough fixture for them, per se. But what do you make of it?
No, there isn't really a tough fixture for them at the moment. Well, currently. But I think Man United are affected by the injuries, especially that Rodri one like we've spoken about. He's a massive miss. Without Rodri, since Rodri's been out of the team, you can see the massive drop in Man City overall in terms of the midfield, the attack. And only really the defense hasn't really been affected. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of key players missing from Man City because De Bruyne is a massive miss. He would have been nice in the Arsenal game because he has a good record against them. And all these little like nicks and crannies that Man City do have, it is going to affect them, even with the fixtures they have. And the Arsenal one, you can see it affected them a lot, just because it's not the same Man City where we saw them controlling the whole game, having most of the possession, and in the other half of the other side's team, we saw the complete opposite, where it was pretty much back and forth, trying to get past their defence and trying to get on the counter attack, but it wasn't really working, especially with Haaland being isolated by defenders as well, which did a really good job. I think it really was tough for everyone in that game to really get going. I think there's not really an outstanding player for Man City that I saw.
Yeah, just to add on the Haaland and Man City chat, I mean, you look at the fixtures, Brighton at home next. I think that's a good fixture for Man City to bounce back. That is back-to-back losses in the Premier League for Man City for the first time in 5 years. So it is very significant. Man City don't normally lose back-to-back games. And, they've got to bounce back, and I'm sure they will, because they are the champions, and that's the mark of champions. And Brighton next, I think Haaland is a very good pick and as a captaincy pick against Brighton, because I could see him scoring in that game. It's Man United after that, which way Man United are playing, I don't think that's a tough fixture. I'll say it early. I think that Haaland could have a field day against them. Bournemouth at home is a nice fixture. Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs. On paper, they do look a bit tough, some of the fixtures, but I wouldn't be ruling Man City out at all, or Haaland. I don't think he's still going to be a popular captain choice in most of these fixtures, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because they've just had Arsenal. They play Man United in Gameweek 10, and then Chelsea in 12, and Liverpool in 13. So they're up against top 5 teams here. So you are going to see a bit of drop in Man City, whether it be obviously goals, but also wins potentially as well. You might see a few draws and maybe a few losses, but it will be like that because of how the fixtures are for Man City. They're really tough. It's going to be really hard, especially with key players missing out for these games. It's going to be a very interesting few fixtures for Man City, and they are in other competitions as well. Can't forget that they are playing other competitions, so there is a lot of football in between, like we have with the international break at the moment.
Yeah, Alex with a comment as well. Up to 800k after Salah captain, always aiming for 100k by Christmas, then push for top 10k. Pranav said, will Saka play next week as well? I mean, I'm not sure with Saka. Obviously, there's an international break now, so we get a bit of a break. So we'll have to see what Arteta says in his press conference. But I think Saka should be fine. I don't think his injury was that serious, but obviously it was serious enough to keep him out today. Question for you, Jordan, actually.
Yeah.
Have you got a plan to get Salah in by game week 10, says Alex? Probably the best captain that week in game week 10, unless you want to gamble on Saka v Sheffield or Haaland v Man United. Just checking who does Salah have in game week 10. Again, it is Nottingham Forest at home for Salah.
Okay. That's a fixture which I'll probably not go in, if I'm honest. Nottingham Forest are a funny team, and they have funny results against top teams as well. But on the second part of your question, on the gamble bit, I'm definitely gambling Haaland versus Man United. I will say this: if Haaland manages to blank against Man United, I will feel very concerning for Man City. Then I will say that if Haaland manages to blank, or even Man City lose that game to Man United, that's when I'll start worrying, because if Man United manage to win or get something from that game against Man City, then I'll be worried then, because the way Man United are playing is still very unconvincing. They shouldn't have really won that game against Brentford. They really shouldn't have. That McTominay 2 goals in the last few minutes was unreal. It was obviously a good win for Ten Hag, because obviously he's a bit of in the dangerous area in terms of what's going to happen with him in the future, but it's still not convincing for Man United. And that Haaland fixture against Man United, that looks really good, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, just to chat on Man United now that we're on them. Obviously, Man United did go and win 2-1 against Brentford. I actually watched the game. I thought Man United were very, very poor for large parts of that game. I'm very glad I actually tweeted this out, like that I sold Rashford on my wildcard, because he was one of the reasons why I wanted to wildcard. And obviously Rashford came off early as well. So yeah, I'm not convinced with Man United. I don't think that is a tough fixture, if I'm being honest, for Haaland. But in terms of the general Salah chat, I'm assuming you plan to go without Salah for this stretch for the next 4 or 5 as well, because obviously you wild carded without him, and you probably don't have any plans to get him back, I'm guessing.
No, I don't have any plans to get him back, because now the team is fixed around pretty much Son. I would have to really change the whole and most of the team to get Salah back in, and I think that's what we had to sacrifice. Like we spoke about, we have to sacrifice one player, and that I sacrificed obviously Salah as one of the 4 picks in my team.
Roman says, unless I get an injury over the international break, I'm rolling my transfer. All very good fixtures. Gonna have to decide between Bowen or Neto, but that's 2 weeks away. Got to plan for Arsenal assets. Yeah, Arsenal assets may come into the frame again, because we've spoke about Arsenal and their tough fixtures. But again, there is a bit of a fixture swing with Arsenal, I think. When I look at Arsenal, I'll probably want Arsenal by game week 12. I mean, Chelsea next is Chelsea just coming off the back of a 4-1 win, which is a big result for Chelsea. Sheffield in game week 10 is a nice little slot for game week 10 wildcarders, because one thing with us, those that wildcarding in game week 8, we went without the likes of Saka and Martinelli or Arsenal attackers. So if you are wildcarding in 10, you'll have more information than us. You could start with Saka, start with a Martinelli, whoever, Jesus, maybe get a bit of an upper hand against Sheffield. Newcastle after that. Looking at the fixture, Jordan, when do you realistically plan on bringing in Arsenal assets? Or do you think, you're not too concerned? Or what's your thoughts on Arsenal and the players that we may want in the future?
Well, I think I definitely want Saka back, depending on how his situation goes with injuries going forward, because he was out of the team today and was rested, because he has been called up for the international break. So it will depend on, obviously, I want Saka back. I definitely want an Arsenal defender back, and I'll probably bring one in game week 10 against Sheffield United. I think that is definitely a fixture to target Sheffield United, because you can see clean sheets whenever a team faces them. Like Fulham deserved the clean sheet, because realistically Sheffield United didn't score. It was an own goal in that game, so that would have been a clean sheet for Fulham. So I do see a clean sheet for Arsenal in that one going forward. And
what game would you want Saka in for?
I would want him for game week 12 when he has Burnley at home, I think.
Oh, okay. And you'd probably have to get rid of, just going back to your team.
Yeah.
Is there any way you can get to Saka in one move, or who would you have to sell one of your midfielders, I'm guessing? And do you know who at what point?
I think it would have to be Son, potentially, that I'd have to sell to get to him, because Saka's expensive.
Yeah.
He is definitely expensive. 8.6 million. Well, actually, I could take Bowen out if I see Bowen's not doing well for Saka. I'm just trying to see if I can do it to Mbeumo. If I can take Mbeumo out. I can take Mbeumo out.
After Saka?
Yeah, but I'd have no money in the bank with that move. So that will depend on if there's price rises or drops in between that. So, I would be between Mbeumo, Son, or Bowen that I would take out. Depending on how out of those 3, I'm not really performing well still from that moment on.
Okay. Just to add for those that are in the chat, if you are enjoying the content, if you haven't already, guys, please do smash the like button. It really helps support the channel, helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps our video, push our video out to newer viewers. So please hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you are subscribed as well. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, which is the target for this channel to grow the community. So hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. Damien also says, yes, Salah captain, 73 all out, 4.1 million to 1.9. I plan to get Haaland back soon. Nice one, Damien. Calvin says, no FPL for 2 weeks now. Yeah, I don't like international footy. I think I've said that before. I don't really watch it. I don't have interest in it. So, but you know what? It gives us a bit of a break from FPL. And so I think sometimes that is needed, I guess.
Yeah, I think for me, I need a break, because I'm slowly tumbling down the rabbit hole in my rank at the moment. From 16k overall, now I'm down to 230k. So yeah, I think I need a reflection period in my team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite the opposite. I started off very bad. Hopefully, I'm looking to that next 500k as the next target point for my team. Captaining Maddison over Salah, Son, is that good? I mean, for Fulham, I mean, I can't look past Haaland. I know I took that risk. I went Salah this week and it paid off, but I just think Haaland against Brighton looks like a nice fixture. Would you go?
Yeah.
Would you go with the Spurs guys against Fulham, Jordan? Or
No, I don't think I would. Because we all were convinced that Son was going to do really well against Luton away, and the way that match went, I know they won 1-0.
It's a bit unfortunate though, the way the game state went. Obviously, the red card, missing a lot of chances as well. On another day, it could have been a lot more.
Yeah, it could have been a lot more. But that's what happens when you miss chances in games. It can cost you, obviously, a lot, and it almost cost Spurs the 3 points in that game. And luckily, they did get away with it, especially with the 10 men. That was a very silly red card from Basuma. I don't know what he was thinking at that time of doing that. It was very unprofessional. But yeah, I'm sticking to my guns with obviously Haaland with Brighton at home. I think even though he's had 2 blanks.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think Haaland for me looks like where I'll be going. I just think Salah against Everton. Look, it's a good fixture, but Everton always turn it up against Liverpool, being a Merseyside derby. That slightly does come into my thinking. And again, Brighton are very open. They're very expansive. The way they like to play their football, they don't really change. And I think Haaland could exploit the space that Brighton will leave in the gap. So, look, I might change my mind, but for now, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on Haaland. I'm going to also, any comments I missed? We've got to discuss. I mean, Game Week 10 wildcard is an interesting one because a lot of managers wildcarding in Game Week 8, me and you included.
Yeah.
There are managers looking at a Game Week 10 wildcard. What do you think is the main difference on a Game Week 10 wildcard, though? I'm assuming you can have the likes of Saka on if he's fit and bring him in. Is there much that you think there'd be differences?
Well, I think the obvious difference is the international break, because then if there is any players that are out injured, you can have a better idea and insight to what players you want to bring in to your team as well. But also, it was a clash for this game week, like we had with obviously West Ham and Newcastle playing each other. It sort of clashed with Bowen and obviously Newcastle defenders that we had in our team. So with this in Game Week 9 now, there's not really any clashes if you're bringing in these players from like Spurs, Newcastle, West Ham, Liverpool, and obviously Man City and Wolves. They all play different teams, and most of them are home fixtures. So there is a lot of variety now in picks to go with players that you think will do well at the home fixtures.
Yeah, I look at Game Week 10, and Alex is kind of spot on here. I don't think you'd want triple Spurs in Game Week 10 for those that wildcard, because you're going to miss some of the nice fixtures. Obviously, you've missed Luton, Fulham, and then Palace as well. So if you are wildcarding, then after that, it's Chelsea, Wolves, Villa, Man City, West Ham, Newcastle. So there is a bit of a tougher fixture swing for Spurs. But one thing I will say about this season, and even last season, I mean, do we look into fixtures too much sometimes? Because sometimes a good player is going to score points in any fixture regardless, and especially a team in good form. And I keep going back to Liverpool of last season, where obviously we know Trent and we know Salah's quality, but when Liverpool weren't playing well, we just knew. I mean, I just kept hold of them because I thought, you know what, they've got nice fixtures, they'll turn it around. I think the same is happening with Man United assets this season. We're looking at Bruno and Rashford thinking they've got Brentford, they've got Palace. They're not getting returns in those games because they're not playing well if you are just watching it watching the game with your eye test.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because a lot of you did bring in Højlund, obviously for this game week, and some of you are probably looking to bring in Højlund because they have a nice fixture, which is against, is it Sheffield United?
Sheffield United, to be fair, does look like a nice fixture for Man United, but
I still wouldn't go there. I still wouldn't go there. They
because
just about beat Burnley.
I know, but I know a lot of managers that didn't wildcard because they want to keep the faith in Bruno and Rashford because it's Sheffield and it was Brentford. Obviously, Brentford They blanked, so they're down on that. Sheffield away. Surely, if you have Bruno and Rashford, though, you can't sell them before Sheffield, or can you?
I think you can sell one. I mean,
Or let's say you've got one, would you still sell
yeah.
ahead of Sheffield? Because that could punish you, surely.
I mean, it could, but is it really worth it now if he does get anything? The way the Man United have been so far this season, does a return? Is that
We can ask the
does
chat.
does that make up for it, guys? One return from a good fixture.
Alex says fixtures are king. You say Brentford and Palace, but they actually are great defenses. Bruno, Hall, v Forest, and Burnley, who aren't. This is a fair shout from Alex, but I mean, I saw a lot of chat before Man United played Palace and Brentford, where people were saying you can't sell Bruno and Rashford before Brentford and Palace, and I just didn't agree with it. That's one of the reasons why I wildcard is. It might sound mad, but I just wanted to get rid of Rashford out of my team. Like, he could go on Hall, don't get me wrong, against Sheffield, because I do think Sheffield is a good fixture. But I definitely made a massive error keeping hold of those guys for too long. I don't think, and I'm not even saying that with hindsight. I just think maybe I kept too much faith in them. But look, I don't know what you guys think. Let us know in the chat with the Man United assets, because I do believe, though, you shouldn't maybe sell them before against Sheffield. Obviously, Jordan, you're a United fan, so you don't agree. You'd sell them basically.
I mean, after that Brentford, it doesn't look like it gets any better for Man United. Even with players coming back in their team, it just looks the same. It just looks the same for every game. It's so unconvincing. They could have easily lost 1-0 to Brentford in that game and not scored any goals at all. McTominay didn't come on that team. And a lot of people might disagree with, obviously, that, because they do have Sheffield United. And I did say that's the big fixture to target for any team. But I don't know with Man United. I'm very puzzled.
Zabar says, thanks for listening to me, Haas. Go to your deadline stream at Fatality said you must captain Salah. This is my daughter's account. Oh, Fatality. Yeah, thank you for that. You did actually mention go Salah. And look, it paid off. So, yeah, well done for that shout. But I was looking at Salah, but I needed a bit of that convincing, I guess. And yeah, I'm glad I went Salah because obviously he paid off big time with that 30-pointer. If you sell a United asset before Sheffield United, that's stupid. Sterling is a prime example. That's the thing. Like, I'm not saying Rashford can't haul against Sheffield, because Rashford can definitely score against Sheffield. But it's just, I've watched Man United a lot this season, and I've not been convinced in a single game, especially just the way they're playing. I think Højlund, though, has looked good, to be fair to him. So
yeah, probably the best of the bad bunch, I think, Højlund. But if you look back to the Burnley game, where we probably mentioned, do we keep or sell Man United assets? Because Burnley arguably is similar fixtures as Sheffield, where it's a newly promoted team that is struggling. Probably Burnley's a bit more better than Sheffield in terms of their team overall. Yeah, defensively are better. But again, Man United, that shouldn't be a struggle for Man United, a newly promoted team. Man United are much better than that. And they have the players that are better than that.
Yeah,
the way they play.
Sorry, I'll just add the way I think where Alex may be coming from, let us know, Alex. But it's more like, if you've kept the patience for this long, 8 game weeks in, you might as well give them Sheffield, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But maybe you should have just got rid of them 5 weeks ago. But hey, maybe that is hindsight. Levi says, hey guys, I captained Maddison and sold Haaland. He worked out this week, but I'm scared for the upcoming games. Jordan, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I would be scared for the upcoming games. That's the only good thing, though, is it paid off this game week where Haaland did blank, and Captain Maddison really worked out. The only unfortunate thing is with selling Haaland now, because he's still highly owned, his ownership won't drop like it would do for another player because of how highly owned he is overall and the fixtures he has, especially with Brighton at home. Brighton without Estepinian and have multiple injuries that have popped up as well in their teams. So I would be quite worried. And Man City are looking to bounce back after losing back-to-back games. So that's the only problem, is now do you get back Haaland or do you go without him and hoping that he can still keep up his blank consecutively after each game week?
Yeah, I think that's 3 games now in a row where Haaland hasn't scored. So I mean, it's a bit of a surprise because Haaland doesn't go 3 games without scoring. So We'll see what he does against Brighton, but I'm fairly confident. John says never back the early kickoff. In regards to Son, definitely that was true this weekend. I got 61 points with Son captain. I regret captaining Son. Yeah, look, it's just one of those decisions. I think it's a good decision, bad outcome. Like Son against Luton, good fixture on paper. Even when you watch the game, Spurs had the chances to win that game by a lot more. But red card happens, something that you don't really predict in certain games. It's one of those red card. You can't predict that what Bosimo was going to get sent off like that, and it changed the outcome of the match. Because if they had 11-11 for the full 90, then maybe Son goes and scores a couple. We don't know. So I think it is a good decision, bad outcome probably with that Son captaincy pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Son has had a great run in games like newly promoted ones, especially. So it was a bit unfortunate that Spurs were down to 10 men and they missed a lot of chances in the first half. They could have killed the game off in the first half from obviously 2 of the chances missed place hits.
But look, yeah, there is an international break now. I think there's no football. When is the next deadline stream? I'm just looking. I believe it's 21st of October, which again is 2 weeks away. So 2 weeks no football. I'm sure we'll have a few content anyway. Next week we'll probably do maybe a wild card video. Let us know if you want to see anything in particular in the comments. But yeah, or maybe we'll take a little break. We'll see. But yeah, all in all, decent game week, I guess. Hopefully you guys got a green arrow as well. But yeah, anything else you want to chat about, Jordan, that we missed? Topics or we need to cover?
There is that controversy over Kovacic.
Oh,
was it a red card? Was that a red card? Because I thought it was with his studs up.
Did you think the first one was a straight red first one, or did you think it was what do you think? Did you think the first one was straight red?
The first one, I don't think was a red. I think that was a yellow because it wasn't as bad as the second one. I think the second one was much more worse because his studs were up and he didn't get any of that ball, and it looked really bad in slow motion. But even in the same speed, it's just that should be 2 yellows, in my opinion.
Yeah, 2 yellows. I thought. I didn't think the first one. I think your first one was the. I think the first one was the one that I think there was the tough challenge where he did Rodri on. Was it Rice? I can't remember.
I think it was.
But yeah, I thought it was 2 yellows personally. So yeah, he should have been off. But fortunately for Arsenal, in the end, Arsenal got the win, so it didn't really matter in terms of the outcome, which would have been a big talking point for sure if Arsenal didn't get the result. Bruno for DRB, I have 3 million in the bank. See, this is a good question because I wouldn't sell Bruno before Sheffield when DRB has West Ham.
Yeah.
Unless you disagree, I don't know.
I don't know with this. I don't know if Man United.
Maybe it's because you're a fan and you watch them play, and I mean you're not convinced with the way they're playing. But I wouldn't do it. I think Bruno Sheffield, you got to keep Pranav. You're not sure.
Yeah, I'm going to slightly go the opposite because I do. I'm a Man United fan. I've watched their matches and highlights of their games, and I'm just definitely not for me. If I had Man United assets, I would be getting rid.
Fair enough. Look, you've gone without Man United assets all season, and it's worked so far. So, I mean, it's working for you. So, yeah, I wouldn't change it. Pranav said, "Have you watched the AC Milan match? Giroud was a goalkeeper." Yeah, I did watch that. That was interesting for sure. Giroud comes out and he just tries to whack the ball. And he sort of misses it, but gets it as well. But that was funny to watch. I don't know what happened in that game. Did the goalie get sent off or someone? I just saw a clip of Giroud with a save. So I missed a comment here as well from Thunder. Sorry, Thunder, for this comment. I did miss it. Some of the chat was going. So, do you think it's worth getting a Brighton attacker for their run of games? I've got Morris. I need a replacement.
Well, João Pedro missed a massive chance for Brighton that could have really won them the game.
Yeah.
So I probably would have recommended him worth getting, because he does get the chances, João Pedro, when he does play. It's just his minutes as well. Not really 90 minutes he plays in football.
Yeah, just to add to that Brighton chat, I wouldn't bring a Brighton asset in before they play Man City. Obviously, they've got Man City next, tough fixture. So I would wait. Just looking at the fixtures, I think game week 10, game week 11, whenever you want to go, I think, yeah, you probably want a Brighton midfielder. And the one I would go for is probably Mitoma. I know João Pedro looked pretty good against Liverpool, but he worries me in terms of minutes. I don't think he's going to play every game. He'll play one, drop out for one. So for me, I'd go Mitoma. Wait till after Man City. And then game week 10, when he's got Fulham, Everton, Sheffield, Forest, that is a nice run of 4 fixtures. Even after that, Chelsea, Brentford, Burnley aren't the worst games. And then you could keep him until, Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, fixtures are pretty decent as well, even after a couple of tough ones against Arsenal and Spurs to come. But yeah, I think game week 10 onwards, Mitoma is a good shout for maybe someone like, I've got Neto. I might get rid of Neto by then. I don't know. We'll see. But he's a cheap enabler. Maybe one of the Spurs guys. Tough fixtures to come. I think I'd probably I think we're getting rid of one of your Spurs assets if you're double up for a Brighton asset could make sense.
Yeah, triple Spurs now seems a bit overkill now after the Luton game.
Yeah. But I think that's it. We've just gone over an hour. We are going to wrap the stream up. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone in the chat, for everyone that has been involved. If you haven't already, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I think I'm just going to check. We're about 70 odd subscribers away from 1,000. So please share the video as well if you can to your friends, your family, anyone interested in FPL. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Just want to also add, I am actually going to be doing another video. For those that don't know, I do have another second channel where I talk about football, and there's a lot to discuss. I'm going to be doing a video about Liverpool on their draw against Brighton, and also for the Arsenal fans out there, or if you're interested in football in general and my thoughts, I'm going to do a video on Arsenal and whether they're title contenders. So do check out my channel, Huss Talks Football. The link is in the bio if you are interested in that. Anything else you want to add, Jordan, before we do wrap it up?
Yeah, just thank you guys for watching, and welcome to the new subscribers to the channel. Your support is always appreciated, for those who have supported us from the very beginning, and for those who have just seen our channel and now subscribed. But yeah, enjoy obviously the international break, guys. I think we definitely need a little break, a little setback from everything, but hopefully it's a nice break for all of you, and we'll see you soon for another video. Obviously we have to plan what that is, but until then, take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon.